Hello. My name's Forrest Gump.
He's a very personable guy, Forrest.
Those must be comfortable shoes. I'll bet you could walk all day in shoes like that and not feel a thing.
Forrest is also not totally bright, so he's able to stay slightly innocent.
Mom always said that there's an awful lot you can tell about a person by their shoes. Where they going? Where they been?
Forrest Gump is a very simple person who ends up doing very extraordinary things.
I've worn lots of shoes.
Forrest becomes a huge football star.
He becomes a shrimping boat captain.
Only caught 5. A couple of boys, you could have yourself a cocktail.
Everything sort of happens to him by accident.
Everybody wants you to use their ping pong stuff. One man even left a check for $25,000.
One of the fun things about the movie is that Forrest seems to brush near all these historic people and historic events. And Forrest is wonderful for telling the story because we can present through his eyes this tapestry of American history. That, I guess, is what makes it compelling, that you think that anything can happen. And you're not quite sure where this story is taking you.
It's an epic of human proportions.
Hey, dummy! Are you retarded or just plain stupid? Look, I'm Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest! Run away! Hurry!
Forrest Gump starts as a boy, and then he grows to a man who's someone who grew up in the Deep South. And he's limited, in a way, by having a very low IQ. But he's a very decent man. And that's what he is as a character.
Would you like a chocolate?
Oh, thank you.
I found the book Forrest Gump in 1985, and I fell in love with it. I read the first line, and the first line of the book is, "Being an idiot ain't no box of chocolates."
My mom always said that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
It made you laugh and it made you cry, and I knew there are very few times in life where a piece of material couldn't do that.
Now this is normal. Forrest is right here.
What does normal mean anyway?
I read the screenplay and couldn't put it down. It was compelling in a strange way because it didn't have any typical plot devices. And all I wanted to do is find out what was going to happen to this guy.
He says, I read this thing. This breaks every rule of movie making that I know of.
You know, there's no quest that anybody is on. There's no bad guy. It's just the spirit of Forrest Gump. That's the backbone of the movie.
You just know this song. You're gonna just go for it.
I couldn't imagine anyone else who could play the character. Not only is Tom Hanks one of the most incredibly talented actors, but he just brings such an energy and a tone to the movie.
Okay.
Tom's characterization of Forrest is better than I ever imagined.
Forrest really only believes in 3 things. He believes in God, and he believes in his mama, and he believes in Jenny. And anything other than that has to be filtered through those 3 things.
Did you hear what I said, Forrest? You're the same as everybody else. You are no different.
Mama Gump is the support that Forrest feels all of his life. The voice who gave him strength and wisdom and unconditional, full-out love.
Mama knew what Forrest was like right from the very beginning. And she was not one to hide him.
My boy Forrest is going to get the same opportunities as everyone else.
Her word was bond, and her wisdom was golden. And so the fact that he could always turn to his mama for the straight dope played a big role in his growing up.
Boy,
Forrest, I am so proud of you.
Sally was always in my mind for the part because I needed someone who was young in the beginning of the movie and who could age. And there was something about the way the character was written. I just always saw her in this part.
Such a little lady gave birth to such a great big boy.
Yep, it hurt like hell.
I gave her the script and said, Sally, you want to play Tom Hanks's mother? You know, I'm wondering what she was going to say.
I played Sally's love interest, in another movie. So, and it was kind of hilarious.
Sweetheart, get it out of my
See, I
face.
done graduated, Mom.
Yes, but get your thing out. Not only was it this lovely, lovely script, and Bob Zemeckis, who's truly amazing, but it was Tom.
I happen to believe you make your own destiny. You have to do the best with what God gave you.
What's my destiny, Mom?
You're gonna have to figure that out for yourself.
The slate's taken.
To cast the role of young Forrest, we knew we'd have to find a unique kid. We found Michael Humphreys in an open casting call, and he's just a kid who grew up in Mississippi who went to an open call, and he jumped off the screen when we saw him because he had a very different type of delivery.
We never had the real template for the way Forrest needed to sound, for good or for bad. And when Michael came in, we said, well, I think there it is.
What character do you play?
Forrest.
Who's Forrest?
Forrest Gump.
I'm no fabulous linguist, so I was really lost. And he just had this voice that seemed to come right out of his backbone.
What does his mom say about being stupid?
Stupid is as stupid does.
See?
Are you stupid or something? Mama says stupid is as stupid does. I'm Jenny. I'm Forrest Gump. Good little monkey.
The thing with Forrest and Jenny is that Jenny was really the first person who accepted Forrest without any questions. And on top of that, she looked like an angel.
Well, I don't really have any friends, and I just like him, I guess.
She's one of the only ones that just accepts who he is and doesn't see him as different. He's just not that smart, which she says all the time, Their common bond is that there's always this innocence and purity, and she has that connection with him.
When Hannah gets up alongside you under her mark, you're going to toss it. Action!
Hey, Jenny, watch this.
Forrest and Jenny is what I consider to be one of the classic sort of movie-type romantic stories.
That was the best line ever.
It seems like an impossible relationship in the beginning of the film, and the possibility that the two characters won't get together really fuels the love story.
If you leave, who's going to be my friend anymore?
I'll always be your friend.
It's not a simple pass at the love interest, We got to have a girl in the movie. Who's it going to be and what are they going to do? It was part of the lifeblood of who Forrest Gump is and what Forrest Gump the story is.
Jenny and Forrest were meant to be. It was magic. But Jenny is so complicated and has a path of her own to follow. It's not an easy relationship.
Have you ever been with a girl, Forrest?
I sit next to him in my home economics class all the time.
I believe in screen chemistry. And I think all the great writing and all the great acting in the world can't make that magical thing that sometimes happens in two dimensions. Tom and Robin are wonderful in the movie.
I'd make a good husband, Jenny.
You would, Forrest.
But you won't marry me.
College ran by real fast because I played so much football. They even put me on a thing called the All-America team, where you get to meet the President of the United States.
One of the fun things about the movie is that Forrest seems to brush near all these historic people and historic events.
He meets Elvis Presley.
He bumps into George Wallace and
John Lennon and Dick Cavett.
Abby Hoffman, and
he might meet Mao Zedong. We don't know.
And he meets 3 presidents.
He's meeting John F. Kennedy because he's one of the All-American football team. So he goes to the White House, and they have all this great food there that's for free. And if there's any substance that Forrest loves, it's Dr. Pepper. So he drinks a lot of them.
And cut. Then we're on Tom, just glug, 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 like that. Cut.
B-mark.
And action. And cut. Okay. Let's print that one. Let's do one more. Okay. And cut.
Hey, try it again, everybody.
And cut. Print one more.
Okay, straight away.
Okay. How you doing?
Am I being punished?
Heads up, Dr. Pepper coming through. Hey, I'll have one.
Cut. Good here. Print that one.
Congratulations. How does it feel to be an All-American?
It's great. Forrest is not nervous. He's not put out. The only thing he knows is that he's got to go pee.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I gotta pee.
To create a scene with the real JFK, what we had to do is wade through hours and hours of historical footage of JFK to see if, in fact, there was anything that came close to what was in the script. And it just so happened that we found footage of him in the Oval Office meeting with football players. So I need a longer piece on Kennedy for the first guy.
Bob's shows are always hard because a lot of Bob's stuff utilizes some very subtle effects he wants to achieve, and that for me is the hardest stuff.
Here is some of the original archive footage of John F. Kennedy, and what we have to do is when this woman crosses in front of John F. Kennedy, we've got to get rid of her and put in Tom Hanks.
Show Tom how it's going to actually work. That's going to be you, right? You're standing there, and then, nope, you're out of sync, right? And that's how we're going to do it, right?
Roughly how we're going to do it.
Do you believe it?
How am I supposed to do that?
In this case, Tom Hanks was shot against a blue screen backing, which allowed us to isolate him. And you can see these little white dots here. These were the reference markers, so as they come across, they knew where to put their hands, where to put their eye lines, and we'd be looking at that on a monitor and coaching Tom so that he could get the action to match up.
And how about you? How do you feel?
And pause.
Cut. I don't know. It's scaring me. Okay, good.
Here we go. Once
It'll
again.
be fun.
Action and pause. And shake, 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 and pause.
Cut. That was a very good one.
Excellent.
It was amazing to see Tom plug in very, very quickly to that because it's hard to do. No matter what we did, his hands wouldn't end up in exactly the right place. And shake, 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 and pause.
Can you get his hand in his hand?
So one of the other things we have to do is we have to adjust his hand and make it fit in exactly so that he makes solid contact.
Because we're sort of morphing his chin down over his shoulder, that we're getting...
We're doing a lot of augmentation to these shots so that it feels like Tom is really in the actual archival footage. So we're degrading his image and adding the scratches, the pops, the things that really look like the older footage. So I really like how this works.
They're not just standing together, they're touching each other, shaking hands, interacting, and then also having a conversation.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I gotta pee.
I believe he said he had to go pee.
They sending me to Vietnam.
Listen, you promised me something, okay? Just, if you're ever in trouble, don't try to be brave. You just run.
Okay. The thing that we never ever wanted to do in any of this movie was just do that kind of tabloid pastiche version of history. If we were going to invest in the idea of going to Vietnam, we had to do Vietnam right.
I only did Vietnam through Forrest's point of view, so you only saw what he saw.
Hey, I bet they shrimp all in these waters. They tell me these Vietnams is good shrimp.
Bubba is someone that Forrest meets in the Army, and I guess you'd say he's a bit obsessed about shrimping.
Bubba's dream is to be a shrimp boat.
An idiot ain't no box of chocolates.
My mom always said that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
It made you laugh and it made you cry. And I knew there were very few times in life where a piece of material couldn't do that.
Now this is normal. Forrest is right here.
What does normal mean anyway?
I read the screenplay and couldn't put it down. It was compelling in a strange way because it didn't have any...
Hello. My name's Forrest Gump.
He's a very personable guy, Forrest.
Those must be comfortable shoes. I'll bet you could walk all day in shoes like that and not feel a thing.
Forrest is also not totally bright, so he's able to stay slightly innocent.
Mom always said that there's an awful lot you can tell about a person by their shoes. Where they going? Where they been?
Forrest Gump is a very simple person who...
Are you retarded or just plain stupid? Look, I'm Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest! Run away! Hurry!
Forrest Gump starts as a boy and then he grows to a man who's someone who grew up in the Deep South. And he's limited in a way by having a very low IQ. But he's a very decent man. And that's what he is as a character.
Would you like a chocolate?
Oh, thank you.
I found the book Forrest Gump in 1985. And I fell in love with it. I read the first line. And the first line of the book is being...
all these historic people and historic events. And Forrest is wonderful for telling the story because we can present through his eyes this tapestry of American history. That, I guess, is what makes it compelling, that you think that anything can happen. And you're not quite sure where this story is taking you.
It's an epic of human proportions.
Hey, dummy!
Ends up doing very extraordinary things.
I've worn lots of shoes.
Forrest becomes a huge football star.
He becomes a shrimping boat captain.
Only caught 5.
A couple of boys, you could have yourself a cocktail.
Everything sort of happens to him by accident.
Everybody wants you to use their ping pong stuff. One man even left a check for $25,000.
One of the fun things about the movie is that Forrest seems to brush near all